and welcome. My name is Trisha and I am the Director of InsurTech Connect Asia. To celebrate International Women's Day this year, I am happy and honored to moderate this panel with three amazing speakers. I am joined by Shefali Sonpa, Insurance Domain Lead at IBM, Anu Matthew, Chief People Officer at Pine Labs, and Kulin Shah, co-founder at Onsurety Today, to discuss a very interesting topic on women, protection, insurance, insights into the India market. Personally, I have always been very interested about the underserved population, and with the past 2 years of the pandemic happening around the world, I am very curious to know how it has impacted a very diverse demographics and complex country like India. So great to have all of you with us today. All of you have great stories to tell and personal experiences of someone that's been born, raised, and grew up in India. Kulin, you're the co-founder of Onsurety, and your goal is to create an affordable healthcare platform for the people. Tell us more about what inspired you to do that, and more importantly, how the insurance market in India is looking at right now as a whole, and how has it shifted?
Sure. Thanks, Tricia, for having me on the on this platform. So Onsurety, started with the seed in mind that there are close to about 63 million SMEs in India, and they hire close to about 330 million people in workforce, and only 5% of them have access to health benefits. And I think this has been the starting point for us, saying that the corporate India or the large enterprises always had an access to health benefits, but not this particular segment of India, which we call as the missing middle when it comes to health benefits. And a segment that contributes to 30% of India's GDP, right? So with the mission of kind of democratizing healthcare for employees, that's kind of what started us. And we've seen in multiple businesses where people have been either giving medical loans, or people have taken personal loans at very high interest rates, right? Pushing them either below poverty line, or putting them in this vicious circle of leverage or mortgage. And that's one of the problems that we want to kind of solve for on an individual level. And obviously on the employer level, we want to ensure that even SMEs have the ability to retain, attract the best talent with the right kind of benefits. And I think obviously India as a country has only 4.2% penetration when it comes to insurance. That to about 3.2% when it comes to life insurance, and only 1% when it comes to non-life insurance. And I think, but there has been a significant move, right? I think because of the whole pandemic, we have seen a global, an increase in the India's life insurance market, especially, which is now almost touching the global averages. So I think India is now coming to that stage where we are seeing an increase in terms of the penetration in life insurance and health insurance. And also the pandemic has driven a great amount of awareness for a specific like health insurance. Motor insurance has always been a regulated product and mandated by the government, and hence that has always been one of the largest drivers in non-life insurance segment. But with the emergence of technology-based backed players like InsurTech players in India, the overall awareness being increased, right? We are seeing an upswing now in terms of the premiums and the overall adoption of insurance in India. Yeah.
Thank you, Kulin. Shefali, do you agree with Kulin about what's happening in the insurance market in India? And maybe what are some of your thoughts about it as well?
I completely align with what he says. So to give you a context, I come from a digital background, digital transformation space. So while I completely respect and understand the penetration challenge, I also would like to couple that with the idea of how penetration as a challenge can be addressed by digital. One of the very interesting things that have happened in our industry over the last 2 years, and thanks to the pandemic, the silver lining, is the adoption of digital, not only by the companies, by the customers. More and more people are now becoming comfortable with, doing transactions on the phone, using call center, automated services, even people who were earlier a little hesitant and preferred to deal with humans, which is what the traditional insurance market anyway is globally, now are open to exploring and executing on digital. Now that is a challenge and opportunity in itself. It's a challenge because unfortunately the standards that have been created by some of the global technical digital first companies like the Amazons and the Netflixes have taken the experience so high that the customer really doesn't differentiate between a financial product and a entertainment or a supply chain product, and say they expect the same amount of responsiveness from the insurers. And it's an opportunity because if there is one industry in this whole wide world, I believe, that can be digitized and automated almost to 100%, it is the insurance industry. We are the most predictable, repeatable, and process-driven industry you can find. And that means we can also be very simply digitized and automated. Analytics is something the industry actually almost was a pioneer of, even in the 1850s when we used to underwrite in the Lloyd's of London's. It was based on statistical analytics. It may have been done on paper, but it's still analytics. So the fact that we've been using analytics and digitization and process for so long means that as an industry, we can digitize and do better than, if not at least meet the other expectations of digital in the insurer. We'll talk about empathy in a minute, but that's what I believe is where India is. India is ripe for the digital transformation, both at the organic level. The government is kind of pushing for digital transformation. The industry is now trying to respond to the company, to the customers, giving them the digital enablements, but it needs to be done in a strategic way and not in the band-aid quick fix fashion so that it has a sustainable impact.
Interesting. Thank you. Thank you, Shefali. Anu, I wanted to ask you, as a woman living in India, do you feel that majority of the women have enough protection? Maybe what are some of your personal experiences that you have that you can share with us today? Because I know you do not come from an insurance per se background, but you have worked with a lot of insurance companies, you have worked with a couple of clients that are in the space itself. But as a woman, living in India, what are some of your personal experience? Do you feel that there is enough protection for women in India?
Thank you, Trisha. Yes, I'm not from the insurance industry, but I come today as a consumer of these products, as well as a leader who's in this space, thinking about the employee benefit associated with it. And if I look out at the team today, our employee strength, it comes across very, very clearly that, hey, women are not talking about insurance as much as they should be. Because I think India, still that primary responsibility of taking care of financials and insurance stays with the men of the family. It could be an absence of simple products. It could be an absence of an understanding of the need for insurance products, both. If I look at my own team and I ask them, hey, and we had this conversation recently, so it's still fresh in my mind. Like, hey, how many of you have term life insurance? The answer will be a very small number, and women, almost none of them had it. You delve deeper into why. One, decision making is usually done by someone else in the family. That's what comes across. Second is a lack of availability of simple products that help them understand, okay, what's the need for it? And some of the work that, say, Kulin and team are doing with Onsurity, I think it's spreading that awareness towards what are the different options which are available in the market today, as a woman, as a consumer of insurance products, both parts of it. Pandemic has been a big advantage, I'd say, towards raising the awareness levels. I've seen a lot of people get significantly benefited in the last 1 year through our group medical insurance, especially because of the hospitalizations that happened in the second wave of COVID that we saw in India. And it was a big saving grace for a lot of families, the medical insurance aspect. So yes, there's a increase in awareness which the pandemic has brought in, but there's a long way to go.
Thank you for sharing. And Shefali, of course, I'll have to ask you the same. What are some of the experiences you have or things you see that you can enlighten us with, in particular to women protection and of course in the India market?
Fundamentally, India is an unpenetrated market. So that we all know that. Now, if you break that down as to how many women in that, now again, protection is, you have different types of risks. So without going into too many details, let's look at just life and health. And if you look at it, those women who happen to be in the larger corporate system, thanks to the organizations by default do get into the group insurance. But if you look at the unorganized sector, which is what most women in India actually are part of, are the unorganized sectors. They may be productively employed, but are unorganized, or even more importantly, homemakers who are contributing to the economy through their service in the house, allowing the husbands and the families to work. That percentage is extremely low. All right. Now, there are I think I'm repeating and echoing what was already said. There are 2-3 reasons for that. One, traditionally, women have not been brought up to be financially aware. The fathers and the men in the family, at least in the Asian markets, are the breadwinners and therefore considered the people who know better. Hopefully, in the urban areas, that's changing. Also, women who are working do not very often, even though you may be breadwinners, do not, because of the way we've been brought up, sometimes, don't consider it good to, look at yourselves as the most important. And therefore, the perception of risk that if something does happen to you, you get hospitalized or you unfortunately get, have a loss in the family, what would be the financial impact of that is something which is not quantified for a woman. And so the term assurance and the health insurance is not taken. The second is the awareness itself. Now, even if I understand that something happens to me, it's going to cost me X amount of money in hospitalization by virtue of maybe a close family member having gone through it, I now know that there's a problem. I don't know what are the products. Because again, and this is, I think, both for men and women, but more for women, because the way we have sold our products have become so complex that inundates the person who's already financially literate. And so simplifying not the product, but the communication in the product is, I think, a key, because simplifying the product means you're also reducing the risk, which is not serving the purpose. You have to continue keeping the risk at the same level, but the communication and the blocks in it need to be explained better and simplified. So I firmly believe that with education, financial literacy, and the fact that more and more women's value is appreciated and perceived in the household and in the organizations, that will elevate the thing. I think from a product point of view, there are a lot of products. A lot can be done, but I would give credit to the industry. There are a lot of women-centric products available in the market, especially in term assurance, etc., where women are actually given discounts for their premium. So the products are available. I think it's the awareness and the distribution simplicity that the industry needs to do service on. And from the other side, a lot of education and self-awareness.
Thank you for having such an authentic conversation so far. I want to peel the layer of the onion a little bit more. So Colleen, why do you think there is such a low number of women not being protected in India? And of course, Anu mentioned earlier that your team at Unsurety has been doing a really good job. I just wanted to hear from your point of view on why is that so?
Right. So Trisha, let's look at at the macro level, numbers, right? in the workforce today, less than a quarter of the workforce is only women, right? It is a more, male skewed workforce that we have in India today, right? Second one is that if you look at from a financial protection perspective, the fact that, insurance itself is so underpenetrated, right? When you kind of, put these two factors together, you can only imagine that, what will be the, penetration when it comes to women and the financial protection provided to them. And I kind of, completely agree with what Shefali and Anu mentioned, right? That when it comes to women, when it comes to financial protection, right? Somehow, women's financial protection, or especially in the health insurance side, right? It's always clubbed with the family, right? Today, I think only 20% of the health insurance policies that are issued in India, right, are purchased by women, or or more like women initiated purchases, right? 80% that means are non-women, and that's male focused, right? These are the kind of factors that kind of lead to of such a drastic skewed number when it comes to India and financial protection for women. I think I completely agree that the overall awareness of the sector is also poor. I think one of the main reason is that it has not been kind of inculcated in us to kind of think about financial protection. We always look at insurance from a investment perspective and not as a risk product, right? And hence, when it comes to investments, again, which is again another form of financial protection, again, it is more male dominated when it comes to the decision making. And the last but not the least, a lot of women are, in the informal sector, right? They are more entrepreneurial in nature, right? Where there are so many platforms now coming up in India. I can actually cite one of the examples, what we are doing at OnSurety for women. There is an edtech platform in India, which has close to about 12,000 women teachers, which are onboarded on their platform. We kind of consulted with them and worked with them to create a complete program which provided these kind of women who are on contract basis, not on employment basis, right? We have created a complete comprehensive healthcare product for these women, right, who otherwise would have to either depend on their spouse, right, or on their family members to figure out a way to kind of purchase a financial protection. And we now see these women lead the charge, right, where they are coming and they are kind of representing their spouse and saying, hey, you know what, I need this product, I need this kind of a coverage, right? And I think this is just the beginning of it. I think what we really require now in India is a holistic approach, and not just a general approach saying that one kind of a product fits all genders, right? I think we need a gender specific approach now when it comes to financial protection, because genders are different, the needs are different, the life cycle is different. So I think that is the approach that we need to take, and I think that approach is completely missing today. And yeah, I think those are the thoughts that I had on your question.
Very interesting. Thank you, Colleen, for sharing as well. And this next question is more for the beautiful ladies in the room today. And maybe Anu, you can start. What are some of the challenges you have experienced during your career as a woman?
Actually, I've been very fortunate in my career, where I don't think I've had a single instance wherein I felt that I've been treated differently from my male colleagues. The only challenge that I feel from time to time is walking into a room with only male colleagues and as in zero women. So that's the only challenge I think that I've faced. It would have been nice to have an equal representation of women. But yes, I think that's a change that is in progress, and it'll take a few more years before that change comes through.
Thank you. And Shefali, as the insurance domain lead in IBM, a company that I believe has a majority of males, not to mention the insurance sector in particular is a very highly male-centric industry itself. Maybe you could tell us some of the challenge that you personally face, and what are some maybe interesting things that has happened to you before?
so I'm, like I said, I had a fairly long career. I've been working for over 20 years. So there have been a lot of times, and I think it also is very important to remember that how you're brought up influences a lot on how you perceive your value. So I have been luckily brought up in a very neutral background where women and men were not differentiated, girls and boys were not differentiated. I come from a defense background, so have traveled a lot. So that kind of acts as a little bit of a help. But having said that, there are points in, I think in most women's careers, even though you come from a very, very liberal background and an open, self-defined world, there are points in the life of a woman where sometimes you are forced to think about the choices. So for example, when you get married, and as you take up the new role as a wife and a daughter-in-law, and start your own home, at points you think about prioritizing. I think that problem becomes even more acute when you become a mother. When a new mother has to come back either from a maternity leave or get a new job, I think mentally it takes a lot of strength to come back the way you were before. And for me, while in the workforce, I'll be completely honest, there have been times I've been sidelined, and the kind of person I am, I kind of bring it up. But of course, once you've been sidelined in that opportunity, you've lost that opportunity. But next time they'll try not to do that because they know this girl will speak up and offline tell the person that I hope next time you give me the opportunity, kind of thing. At a personal level, I think having an ecosystem of support that allows you to just get out at 9 a.m. and come back at 8 p.m., knowing very well that the food is taken care of, houses, what a man would expect when there's a homemaker at home. That kind of an ecosystem you need to create for yourself. So today, for example, I'm traveling, I'm not in my hometown. I know my daughter, my husband, my mother are all taken care of because of the ecosystem I've created. And that becomes very important, because if at some level you're not at peace with that, unfortunately, whether you're male or woman or female, it will impact your work. So that is something I feel has been an interesting challenge that you need to mitigate every day, more so as a woman, because somehow these responsibilities come on us. But you need to learn that, and it took me a little time to learn, I'll be honest. It took a few years, but now I think I'm good at it, and it allows me to just get up and just do my work, give 100% to where I am, and then give 100% when I'm not there. I hope I've answered that question in the way you wanted it.
No, definitely. I think, this whole International Women's Day is all about just sharing personal experiences about how you might have been supported or might not, but it's all about, just listening to each other's stories and, just sharing it with our audience that we have as well. So thank you very much. Colleen, as the only male speaker in the room, I believe you came to this session today because you believe that insurance and healthcare is important to everyone and it's not biased against a particular gender. Right. So what do you think can be done in India to improve gender diversity in insurance or any other industries?
Right. Because we are in the healthcare space, I'd love to kind of talk about healthcare and health insurance out here. I think today what products we have as a country, right, are more generalized. They are not specific to any gender's need, right? And I think first things is to kind of understand the segment and start understanding the needs that are specific to women, right? Once we start mapping a life cycle of a woman, right, across the various age groups, right, we will start understanding the need and what kind of a health care or health benefit that they would require. And I think this basically will help us to kind of identify the right products. One of the things that we've always seen is that to kind of increase product penetration, right, you need to go bite size. And India is known for its sachet products, be it any industry, right from shampoos to food. And I think now India is almost like the capital of embedded insurance and bite-sized products. And I think that's the same kind of approach that we need to take when it comes to women's product, right? What we realize is that no one's going to make a big purchase, right? So if you start small, right, start with one particular need, right? And with that kind of a need in mind, for example, can I create just a product for IVF, right? Because of the kind of lifestyle change that India is seeing today, you would be surprised with the number of breast cancer cases that are happening at a much younger age now, right? Can we start creating that awareness and create bite-sized products, right? People are afraid to put in, a large amount of money for a full-fledged product, right? So, I love what Shefali said that, can we create a Netflix kind of an experience? And that's exactly what OnSurety is doing today. We are the only platform in India, right, where you can actually go and purchase your health benefits program without an intervention, without any kind of a human intervention, just online in less than 5 minutes, which has traditionally taken about 30 to 40 days, across companies. And I think this is the same approach that we need to take when it comes to women's, women specific products. I think what we are also kind of trying to understand is that there's a lot of stigma and taboo when it comes to certain products and certain use cases. How do you embed these kind of use cases and products in the larger purchase journey, right? If we are talking to brands, can brands start picking up financial protection, health insurance as a part of their journey, right? I would love to see a sanitary napkin company coming and saying, hey, you know what, we've got a product for you which is embedded every time you purchase a product from us, right? Why is that not happening? I think that is what we need to enable, and I think that's the way we'll get the penetration out there, right? Last but not the least, we need to start creating early awareness at almost at the school level. I completely fail to understand that why is financial products not, a part of the curriculum or part of the syllabus, right? I think that needs to be taught possibly at grade 8 or grade 9, and tell them, hey, you know what, you need to understand the basics of financial protection, right? So that this kind of keeps building up. I've done my MBA and no one taught me anything about insurance. Leave aside, financial protection, right? Everything was, just about management and things like that. I think that needs to be kind of reinforced at every time you kind of, study. I think it's a mindset change that is required. I think it's embedding this as a concept across our life cycle, right? And I think that's what will help us create and this change.
Thank you, Colleen. And to end off our session today, I would like to ask all three speakers here, starting with Shefali, on what is just one thing you think India can learn from other countries with regards to gender diversity.
I think gender diversity is an issue in most countries in the world, except for certain EU countries like the Germany and Amsterdam. And for me, the day we stop talking about gender diversity is the day we've achieved it.
Thank you. And Anu, how about you?
I think India has already started this journey of where diversity is really valued. I'd say call it diversity, and not just the gender diversity, diversity of thought, acceptance of people who are different from you. A lot of focus, which is happening in India, in corporate India today, towards building that diversity within organization. It's something that we have picked up from the rest of the world, but I think it's holding us in good stead.
Thank you. And lastly, Colleen, what are your thoughts? Do you agree with what both the ladies have brought up? And is there anything more?
Oh, I absolutely agree with what Shefali and Anu said, and I love, what Shefali said, that the day you start, stop the whole diversification thing, that's the when you really achieved it. And resonating on that thought, right? I think what needs to happen is that we need to start seeing, we need to stop, stereotyping, roles with a gender, right? I think that's the first mindset change that we need to do. I think both men and women need to kind of start agreeing that yes, we can see them kind of prosper in any role that is given to them, right? I am surprised today in all the discussions that we do today. Why are there so many only female HR professionals and not so many male HR professionals, right? Why are there so many, professionals who are in certain parts of, in sales, which are more male-oriented kind of roles? And that is, I think everyone needs to start small. But when everyone takes the first step, I think we will kind of solve this issue, right? I think one of the biggest things is stereotyping. And I think it's not just an India problem. I think it's a global problem where we have stereotyped roles, right? I would love to be a a homemaker, right? Let my wife kind of run the entire show. And I think we did that for 1 year, right? It was an interesting change. So I think we just all need to experience different things in life. And I think that's how we will, start enjoying gender diversity. And in that aspect, we actually ran a campaign at Onsurety, which was called Man, It's Okay. And, I think that's when we started accepting that, hey, it's okay to be, to have certain feelings, right? And I think it's only the fact that we start discriminating on feelings, saying that, oh, this is how a woman should feel. This is how a man should feel. I think when we start accepting that, listen, a woman can feel this way and a man can also feel this way. I think those kind of initiatives will help us, end this whole need for gender diversity, because then there is just one, that's just us, right? All of us together. And hopefully, Trisha, then I will not be the only male member, but all of us will be, just one.
Very interesting, because personally, the worst phrase that I just dislike to hear or hate to hear is, are you on your period right now? Is it the time of the month again? When I feel that I am making a point in certain conversations, and I feel that itself is a very gender biased thing to say. And with that, I think that's a great way to end our session today. And I couldn't have done it without you three amazing speakers, Colleen Shah, Shafali Sompa, and Anu Matthew. This genuine conversation about your personal experiences is definitely enlightening for me, especially as someone that did not grow up or know much about the Indian market before today. So thank you once again, and I hope to see all of you at ITC Asia this June. Come join us in Singapore, and I'll see you guys there.
Thanks, Tricia.
Thank you so much. Absolute pleasure to be here.
Thank you, everyone.